Kalamazoo is asking the state for $51 million to help get rid of PFAS from its water on the city's east side. The move is in response to new PFAS standards from the federal government, set to go into effect 5 years from now.
News 8's Byron Tollefson is in Kalamazoo with the story.
Inside Spring Valley Park here in Kalamazoo, you will find Pump Station 14, which 5 years from now will have more PFAS in its water than will be allowed by the federal government. But the city of Kalamazoo stresses that residents have nothing to fear.
Michigan residents are protected, Kalamazoo residents are protected, and we're just looking to the future, and we're going to plan and invest in infrastructure.
When the EPA announced its first ever nationwide standard for PFAS in drinking water last month, it gave cities like Kalamazoo 5 years to get rid of the problem. Just one of the city's 15 water stations, Pump Station 14, must be fixed. Its water is just barely over the federal government's new PFAS limit.
The treatment that we're designing is essentially going to be zero. So once it goes through our treatment, it's going to be zero.
PFAS has been linked to various forms of cancer and other diseases. Scientists are still investigating its connection. City Public Services Director James Baker stresses that the water is fine. It meets state and federal standards right now, but that won't change in 5 years.
We're being proactive in that we know in 2029 those standards are going to be lowered. So we're being proactive.
So the city came up with a $110 million project that will not only treat and replace the bad station, but also rebuild another station on the city's east side, Pump Station 5, 110 years old, which poses a risk because it's less than 1,000 feet from a PFAS contamination site. Here, a former manufacturing site along the Kalamazoo River. Tests showed the groundwater here flows toward the river.
When we build these new stations, we're not building them for 1 to 2 years out. We're building these for the next generation. And so that's really what this is about. This is about investing in infrastructure and planning for that next generation.
The project would also improve water quality in general by extending water mains in Richland and Ross townships and replacing lead service lines. This week, the City Commission moved to ask the state to pay for everything, whether through loans or grants. The city won't know until September if it will get the money. If it doesn't and other options are exhausted, the city may have to go it alone and raise the community's water rates by $8 a month.
We're not saying that's what we're doing. I think we've got some decisions to make in September when we understand where we're at.
Baker stresses that in the meantime, Eastside residents should feel comfortable drinking their water.
Everything is fine again. We have nothing but the utmost confidence in the water system.
If the city doesn't get the funding that it asked for, Baker says there are other avenues they can pursue, and they can always apply again next year. So the point is, if it's unsuccessful, it does not necessarily mean that your water rates will go up. In Kalamazoo, Byron Tollefson, News 8.